If I email you, all that information is there. But hi. Come on in. There's a whole bunch of stuff back here, and then even the sign-in sheets I think is made back there. I will tell you the best way to get a hold of me is to text me. I'm working really hard at not being in the office and being on somebody's campus 4 days a week. So today I was at a middle school and a high school and a Zoom meeting. And I didn't have a lot of time for email, and so emails can sit in my inbox for a little bit, but I'm really good at texting. So let me know. Jessica is really good at answering questions. So you can call. We have a new office number. So I want to bring that to your attention. We changed locations, and they gave us a voice over internet protocol number, and it has a fancy 1300 extension. We're literally still learning how to use the phone. So if you call, it takes you 3 minutes to transfer it because we're still pushing all kinds of fun buttons. Okay, so I want you to write this down as well. I think I included it on your agenda. Yes?
No,
it should have been. Yeah. All right. So there's a Google Classroom for you under Mentor that starts with that letter Z. There's a Google Classroom for your first year induction candidates, which they should be getting at induction orientation. And there is a year 2 that I would like for you to give to your year 2s. Here's the catch. You have to use a personal Gmail. The district email won't work. And I've had a big long running argument with Google. They said, sorry, too bad, so sad for you.
New ones are getting theirs or have lots of
They're getting them at induction orientation. Go ahead and write it down just in case. But I want you to give this to your 2s and then this one yours. I'll try to walk around so everyone can hear me. All right, so just as a great review of who we are, the Madera Induction Consortium used to be BITSA. We changed in 2016 because the state government no longer does grants, so BITSA is gone. We have kind of 2 programs running now. The Unified Induction Program is running with full-time mentors, which we're really excited about. Many teachers out of the classroom and mentors for us in the district. They're spending 3 to 4 hours a week, including doing the induction stuff, along with just coaching them up on how to be a teacher. But we also run the induction program for the entire county with a lead educational agency. And a word about that, I will tell you that Madera Unified, well, actually any school district can't spend its own money somebody outside of their district, right? So we are charging our districts $2,000 per participating teacher. That's that. The good news is I understand everybody but Exhaust is covering that cost, so your induction candidates are not paying that, plus stipend additions. We started in the year 2000. This is my 14th year running the program. We've had over 2,000 candidates come through the program, but of course, at the heart of our program is our induction candidates and our mentor teachers. I don't know where to stand. That's kind of really this. All right. So it used to be called MIC, and maybe some of you went through BITSA, and if I asked you about it, you might go, oh, BITSA. Big 4-inch binders. Coming to professional development 1 Saturday a month, coming to a meeting on Tuesday, 1 Tuesday a month. We made you do things whether you needed it or not. We would say that we mentored through the documents, and boy was there a lot of documents. My apologies to my Irish friends, we call ourselves Nick. You know, that can be a bad word, I don't know. I'm happy to be Irish myself and kind of enjoy it, but we changed the name because when the grant went away, BITSA went away. There's no more BITSA, but there's still induction embedded into the ed code. So this is the preferred method for people to get a clear credential. And not only for teachers, which we now include special ed as of 2017, but administrators also have to go through induction in their own right to get their clear admin credential. So as I mentioned before, we used to mentor through the documents. Now we are documenting the mentoring. The cornerstone of what we're doing is the conversations that you're having with your induction candidates. 75% less documents. Those of you that have gone through the transition wizards can appreciate. I think we have 12 assignments now. Is that about right? Sounds about right. And we included a coding sequence. I hope it's in there. I didn't see it. But there's about 12 assignments. But the real focus of what we're doing is the conversations that you're having. Okay? So what is induction? It's a job embedded program. Think about your beginning teachers coming through the preliminary process. Are they trained and ready to go in the classroom? They've got some theories, but the reality is that this is an on-the-job training situation. And that's why we have induction. So before the year 2000, 50% of beginning teachers left the profession in the first 5 years. Now we're retaining about 90%. We know that this works. For them to be in the program, they must have a preliminary credential. I would like you to write a note. Ask your teacher about their credential. Where are they? Sometimes they mistakenly think that if they're an intern, they belong in induction. You try to screen them out in induction orientation, but sometimes they occasionally slip through the cracks. But also, I want you to ask them about RECA and TPAs. During the pandemic, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing went to the governor and said, if we don't allow teachers to go through the program because and we're stopping them because of the pandemic, we're going to have a huge problem when we're finished with the pandemic. So under the executive orders, the emergency orders that the governor had, he signed an executive exemption for teachers that were in the program at that time to finish their teacher performance assessment or their Fresno State formative assessment of student teachers. It's the same thing. When they get to induction. Okay? So some of our teachers are already through that. Now here's something you should know. Signed another executive order and said that if you completed 2 years of teaching or you completed induction, we're going to wipe away the TPA. So they got a COVID exemption for TPA, finished 2 years and finished induction, but they haven't finished the TPAs, they no longer have to do that. If you have any teachers in that situation, they finished induction, but they still have a TPA left to do, they can contact me immediately, and we will immediately do the recommendation for the credential. What didn't go away is RECA. Okay? So any of your teachers right now that have a TPA requirement, that should be gone. They either did it before they got to us, or the governor wiped it out. But if they still have RECA, they still have RECA.
What about CSET?
Now CSETs, they can't get into a preliminary program. I'm sorry, they couldn't get out of the preliminary program without passing the CSETs. So the exemption was, I can get in, but while I'm in, I got to pass, or I can't get out. So we shouldn't have any preliminary teachers with the CSET.
What if they have the RECA done and this is their second year in the induction program? They've been teaching for 20 years. They need to finish this year, the second year in the induction program to wait for TPAs?
Correct.
How do they know something like COVID waiver?
It's on their credential.
Down at the bottom, it's like a yellow little red box or yellow box.
Down at the bottom not on
They
the,
can't look it up online.
they can look it up online, and you can even look it up online
Yeah, because I
on
looked.
public search.
So like if they start their TPAs maybe before COVID, but then finish them still, they probably still have to do them.
If they got interrupted and stopped going to school somehow, that's a possibility. Yeah. But no, it's not a possibility because if they started that, they couldn't finish the preliminary program without finishing the TPA. They had to get the COVID waiver in order to finish the TPA, in order to finish their preliminary credential. You start over. If they started before COVID, they still had the TPA. They haven't gotten to us yet. They don't have a preliminary credential. They couldn't have gotten the preliminary credential without the TPA. If they started the program under COVID and got the COVID waiver, then they came to us with the TPA requirement, which has now been erased.
So there's probably everyone to be raised at this point.
Either they
So
did
I
it
have
before
only
they got to us,
3 teachers that I'm kind of working on right now, so they probably don't even have it.
they probably now have the executive order that was wiped away, July 1st of this year.
Right, but it expires June of next year. The waiver. Is what I know. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. Keep going. Yeah, no, I thought that's what I had read, that it's expires 6/30 of 24, the waiver thing.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I didn't read that, so I'll have to look at it when I get that. But I have the doc on my computer, but I don't know my phone. All right. Teachers that have experience and are exceptional and are new to mid are allowed to be an early completion option. I want to review that with you today. That's what the standards give us, is two words, experienced and exceptional, and left the program to define what those two words mean. So we're going to say experience is 2 years in the classroom as a teacher of record. Substitute teaching, even long-term, doesn't count. Student teaching doesn't count. They must have been maybe a PIP or an intern for 2 years and evaluated, right? And the administrator has to give us a letter of recommendation, help fill out the early completion option application, provide us with an evaluation from last year. We're really relying on the administration to tell us that this teacher only needs 1 year of support and they're exceptional, they rock it, they're good. Okay? That's the exceptional part comes from admin, and the experience part comes from 2 years in the classroom as the teacher of record. Okay? Questions about ECO? They would only be first year this year. All right. Here's our expectations for you. Just a reminder for my veterans and those that are new. We would like 1 hour a week with you meeting with your induction candidate outside of the duty day. Before school, after school. I suppose if you had a common prep and you had a whole hour, you could do that knowing that whatever word you're missing, you'll have to make up for that later. But 1 hour a week. We would like for you to facilitate them observing other teachers as it centers on their individual learning plan, which we're going to go over today, 2 times per semester. So we don't want them to go find someone to observe, we want you to do that. Okay? And we want you to observe them 2 times a semester. We want to see a whole complete lesson, right? So elementary, that doesn't mean you have to be there all morning, but we do want you to see that whole ELA lesson, whatever it is. Secondary, you're going to probably be in there for a whole period. And we want you to video record your candidates once a semester and review it with them, because you'll find that the students behave differently when you're not in the room. Right? So you can see some things to talk about that.
2 physical and 1 in-person.
Correct.
Have you found an easy way to get recordings transferred between computers? Because that's a struggle.
Upload it to YouTube and share the link.
Do we start this in September?
Yes.
So is that a total of 3 observations then?
Yes.
Do-
And the data says actually that the video observation is even more powerful than your personal observation. But
So
we know it's
can
tough
there
to get out of class and get subs.
Can there be more video than in
Yes!
person? Okay.
That's the minimum bar, right? The more the merrier.
So can it take place of the in-person?
Yeah, it could.
Okay.
Yes, it could.
So I'm confused on the video recording. We're doing the video recording, or we have
somebody,
someone else?
yeah, just let her record herself, right? And
Okay.
set it up like I've got it, or
Right.
use an iPad or whatever. Yeah. So there's a question over here. Okay, yep.
I apologize, I have a question that's back one slide. I know for a fact that one of my candidates is the early completion option. Does that mean that she should join year 1 or year 2's classroom?
Year 1.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question. So the work that ECO does is identical to a year 1. What we're saying is, because of your experience, we're not going to do year 2. We'd like you to come to mentor training. I am recording today in case somebody couldn't be here, so we will try and do that as a backup, is to have the recording and share it with you in the Google Classroom if you absolutely can't be here. The one thing we're trying to do is bring you to induction instead of making you come all the way into Madera. But it also means that there's less nights that we can attend, because now I'm doing this in Chowchilla and here and in Madera. You can come to Madera one if you want to. But, so we will do a backup video, but we would like you to attend as much as possible our mentor training. And then we have an exit activity, which I'm going to go through later today. This is the one time I'm going to ask you to drive all the way into Madera and help us with our exit panels interviewing our teachers.
Steve, I have a question.
Yes.
Can I move to the Madera group?
Sure.
And I
Can you
moved
email-
and live in Madera, so this is quite a drive.
Email Jessica, and we'll get that. You want that too?
I live in Merced, so
So just try it. Really
if you're doing another one in
It's literally small. I have only 5 part-time Madera Unified mentors, so it'll be a small meeting. But yeah, email Jessica, and we'll get you right. All right, so we want to talk a little bit about coaching. And one of the big themes that I'm bringing up this year with my mentors is that we are working really hard at coaching. The idea is, are we coaching for performance or coaching for development? Coaching for performance or coaching for development? And our challenge this year is I want you to coach for development. And what we learned in cognitive coaching is that we're not coaching behavior, we're coaching the thinking. So if the teacher asks, what do I do? We might respond with, what are some options? Or what are some options you've tried? Or what are some options you want to try? And even if the teacher's struggling with that, then we might say, okay, well, here's 3 options. Which one would you like to try? When the teacher owns what they're doing, you're going to see behavior change in the classroom. When we tell somebody what to do, we get compliance. And it lasts until they're tired, right? Now, this is human nature. So I really want you to think about how can we use reflective questions to help the teacher think through the situation. Okay? When we get to the ILP, we're going to let the teachers choose what standards we're writing to. Having said that, especially for first year, I would recommend they look at standards 1 and 2. Now I know I included the placemat with the 6 CSTPs on there. Go ahead and grab that for me if you would. I want you to go ahead and scratch number 6. Put an X through that if you would. That's professional development, and we're already working through that in induction. Take a look real quick at standards 1 through 5. And think about your beginning teachers, either the ones you worked with or the ones you already met. Most of you guys just started school like last week, yeah? Maybe you shook hands, or you haven't started yet?
Oh, no, you're so far.
We're like 4. We're unified till week 4. Where do you think you're at? Kind of look at some of those standards, because I'm actually going to have an assignment for you a little bit later to think that through. What standards do you think they need to address? You can talk about it in your table.
Yeah, it's all the same. I'm just trying to support.
All right, let's talk about the individual learning plan. And I gave you a sample and a blank one. The standards say that our candidates must write their individual learning goals about the first 6 weeks of starting school. Yellow? Yellow. All right. So the question then becomes, how do they know what standards to write to? I mean, you have a pretty good idea because you know what it takes to be a teacher. How do they know what to do? So I've also included one of them. The other one's a big one. I've included it in your Google Classroom. The first one is the individual development plan, and I gave you a sample of that along with a generic one in the book. So if you grab that document that says Fresno State on there, that is Fresno State's individual development plan, also called in other universities a bridging document or a transition document. Here's the assignment. First years, not second, just first years, are supposed to grab this and have a conversation with you about it. They're based on the teacher performance expectations, which actually align with the CSTPs. Now you see from this candidate that she's beginning to think about what standards she wants to write her goals to when she gets to induction. All your candidate has to do is have a conversation with you and submit it into the classroom by scanning it and uploading it. If they can't find it, can't remember that they did it, or came from another program, or I even had some that finished the program 6 years ago, moved away because their spouse was in the military, and now they're coming back. They don't have one. If you flip that page, there's a generic one. They don't have to do the generic one unless they cannot find their individual development plan at the university. It takes them about 20 minutes to do. And then they have a conversation with you. This begins to point the needles towards the standards that they should write to. The second assignment they're going to do is a self-assessment using the continuum, which I placed in the Mentor classroom so you would have a sample to look at. So the continuum, the directions, and the evidence codes are already preloaded in your classroom. And if I had the internet, I would show it to you. The continuum really does nail the standards we need to write to. When did year 2s last touch the continuum? In April. There's not a lot of growth between April and August, so we don't make them do it again. But they can get it, because it's still in their Google Drive, and talk about where they were in April and what standards they want to write to this year. So year 2s can look at the continuum. They can also look at their exit interview activity, some of the data that's there, as well as evaluations. Even if you have year 1, they were a pip, stip, or intern, they were evaluated. Have them bring that to the party, that will show the standards they need to write to on the ILP. Yes?
I think the vocabulary you used may have just answered this, but I couldn't quite tell. Like year 2, should they pick the exact same 2 that they were working on last year? Should they avoid the 2 they were working on last year? Does it not matter? Do you not care?
The standards say that the teacher has the choice. Now, I would kind of think, you probably should pick different standards, right? You show growth in these standards. What are some other standards we need to grow in? But if they're still saying, no, man, I'm still choking in the weeds on these, I still want to work on them, we have to say yes. So, yes, technically they can pick the same standards. We would prefer we would move on. And I think if I said year 1 should focus on standards 1 and 2, we would like to have maybe a year 2 to focus on standard 5. So if you look at standard 5, it's all about data. And particularly what I want to know is how is student data informing teacher performance? How does the student outcomes inform a teacher's practice? That's the standard 5. Okay. Standards 3 and 4 kind of get into the weeds of knowing what my students are at, knowing what their background is, knowing what their learning needs are, helping with ELs and special pop. And those are good standards as well. So we're not ruling those out, but our data shows that teachers are picking standards 1, 2, and 5 by about a 3-to-1 ratio. All right, do me a favor and grab that yellow one that's blank. I gave you a sample, and I'm going to write on this one tonight. Goal 1 and goal 2 is what's due at the end of September. Pathways and outcomes are due in October. But what I'd like you to do is pretend that you are your teacher and write a goal, just one. Identify the standards and the element and write a goal tonight. And we're going to talk about that in our table features. I want you to think about the growth words that we've used, and I believe I included that in the packet. You know what? The pathways. I will improve, I will deepen, I will grow, I will advance, I will maximize, I will strengthen, I will increase, extend, cultivate, something like that. My ability to, and then you can put in the language of the standard. The growth words are not there. I know the growth words.
That's what I was looking for.
Sorry. I will, you can use the word improve tonight. I will improve my ability to, and then take the language right from the standard and put it in there. I want you to write one sentence and keep it simple, so it shouldn't be a complex, compound sentence. Keep it simple. And write one goal, as if you were that brand new teacher. I will improve my ability to have a rigorous expectation for classroom behavior. Now, hopefully you're sitting next to somebody that's a veteran. I want you to share your goals with the person sitting next to you. See what they think. All right, how did that feel? Okay, now if you turn the page, you're in the back of the elevator. So when we come to ILP and journal writing training in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go over this all over again. I just want to introduce it to you tonight. But the pathway is due in October, so we have time to think about it after we've written the goal. The pathways are the research that we're doing about the goals. And there are already things that teachers are already doing, analyzing student work, right? They go to a PD, they do some research on the web, they read a book. Included in their pathway are your observations or recordings of them and their observations of their peers. So we're going to ask them to put at least 3 pathways in the box per goal by the end of October. They are there.
Yeah, that's
It's on the green. Those are the pathways.
there we go.
On the green sheet, in the directions, on the last page, yes, are the pathways. Those are not all of them. They're just a sample of what can go in that pathway box. And I'll explain in depth board as we get to our milestone journal writing here. And then we're going to ask him to write an outcome. And what we're saying is, it's teacher growth through the lens of student outcomes. Now, it's possible that you're in a special situation where academics isn't what our focus is on, right? So you're in a mod severe setting or something like that. Come talk to me about that. But by and large, we want your teachers to measure their growth as a teacher through the outcomes of their students. So we're going to ask them to do a pre-assessment now, and either a summative assessment or a series of summative assessments leading up to April. I know I'm a better teacher now because my students are able to do this. Okay? And we're going to give them plenty of time to think about that until the end of October. But we want to tie student outcomes. Correct. I don't have a calendar, but I want to think it's around the middle of September. We're meeting again with your peeps. The 19th. September 19th, we're here with your peeps. Alright? And we're going to write these goals together that night. As soon as we write those goals, your job is to schedule an appointment with the administrator for the three of you to sit down and discuss these goals and have them sign off. And we're calling that the triad meeting. And you'll notice that on the ILP there's a place for them to sign it. Yes. So you're going to schedule that appointment. So we already know that we're going to write the goals September 19th. I would recommend that you get on their admin calendar tomorrow, right? And schedule that for September 20th or 22nd or whatever the case may be. Okay? So meet with your admin assistant to your administrator and get this scheduled. You're going to schedule a triad meeting to go over the goals, and they're going to sign, you're going to sign, and your induction candidate will sign. My recommendation is get that appointment tomorrow. And please don't make your induction candidate do it, because they're still feeling kind of awkward about their administrator. So schedule it for after. So it should be scheduled for after September 19th. So we know that your calendar's already booked, right? I know mine is. Any questions about that? You're in charge of the triad meeting. Please let your evaluator know that they cannot use this meeting for evaluative purposes. This is an opportunity for your administrator to become a cheerleader. Right? Now they get to consult, and they can say, well, our district or site initiative kind of lends into this. Can you incorporate some of the site initiative into your goal? Yes, we can certainly talk about that. They might say, hey, we talked about you working on this year. Can you include that in your goal? Yes. But by and large, this is an opportunity for admin to say, oh, I know that you need to go see Larry. Larry does this so well. Make sure you observe Larry. What we do is critical thinking, right? Go see Larry because he's got a whole unit on critical thinking that's going to rock your world. Make sure you see it and talk to him. Here's a book you should read, right? We're going to do this PD in January. Make sure you sign up for it. This fits with your goal. And now your administrator hopefully has a conversation that's ongoing with your induction candidate. How's it going? What can I do to support you? That's the purpose of the triad meeting. Okay? Questions about that? Scheduled for after September 19th, but you're scheduling a triad meeting for you and your induction candidate. Journals. All right, so tonight I included a sample journal. This is what we're expecting from your induction candidates. They're doing the work, right? You're just going to review it. When you're meeting with your induction candidate, we would encourage them to pop the journal open on their computer, or you pop it open on your computer and type in it. Because here's what we want. This is a Google Doc that will explain. We want dates. On August 17th, we talked about classroom arrangement. On August 24th, we looked at how to do attendance. On August 31st, we set up Google Classroom. Okay? Those are just in time, how do I, what do I do questions. We've included the reflection guide in the Google Classroom for you, but those questions are not mandatory. In fact, I need to put that in there. The second box is the long-term analysis, which for this month, there's not going to be a lot there. This one's about their goals. Again, we want to see dates. And then they're going to include the evidence of implementation from their pathway into the classroom, how that's affecting student outcomes, and how that informs teacher practice. And you can see those questions that we've written for them. It looks pretty benign, but this takes about 2 hours to type out. But we're asking this for 2 hours a month. Some of the feedback that I got from our accreditation visit last year was that your candidates want more feedback on their submissions other than, yes, you met the standard and you did. So we're going to provide that. Even if everything is great, we're going to tell them why it's great. So my leaders are going to be instructed to do that. So they're going to work hard at getting things done in the first 7 days, which I know hasn't happened. And we're going to square that up and make sure that we're catching this ahead of time within the first 7 days of the due date.
Is there a way for us to know when our candidates are?
And we're going to notify you immediately after that 7 days if it's not turned in. And if it's not turned in after day 14, we're going to actually notify you your candidate and the administrator, because this is a working plan. Right? So we are really going to tighten up that accountability piece that was missing. Okay? We will get that. That came out loud and clear from our accreditation. All right, questions about the journal? I would like for you to read them. Or do it at the end, basically the last Friday of the month, unless it's Friday's kind of a weirdo, you know, like Wednesday is the last Friday of the month, and then I might kick it to like the second. Right? But I know the first journal is due September 29th. We would like for you to read the journals for 2 reasons. One is accountability, to know that your candidate did it. And the second is so you know what you're thinking, what your candidate's thinking. Okay? So read your journals. There's 6 of them. September, October, November, January, February, and March. They don't always align, but they do pretty closely align with what I'm going to talk about next with our collaboration logs. And George's questions about that. But there are 6 journals and 8 collaboration logs. You do the collaboration logs. They do the journals. Yes. So I included tonight a collaboration log and a sample. Would you grab that for me, please? They look a little different, yes? Try to clean it up. Even though I don't have a journal due in April and May, we still need you to do a collaboration log. So your April one, you're just wrapping things up, talking about how you're getting your teacher ready for the exit activity. And in May, all I need you to record is your participation in the exit activity. Okay? I'm going to ask you to come to 2 of those. Looking at your collaboration log along the top, you're telling us when you're meeting and for how long. What is our minimum amount of time per week? 1 hour. Okay? If stuff's happening and you can't meet in person, we still would let you use FaceTime or Zoom as a backup, right? So you can still get that time in. But we are asking for 1 hour a week. And you're going to write that on the collaboration log. Your candidate's going to sign it, and you're going to sign it. Underneath that is MIG training. So tonight is MIG training. You would be able to write in your collaboration log. So tonight, you'll notice on the sample, you included 2 hours of MIG training. If I bring your candidates to training, do they get to put 2 hours of training? The box next to it is any training that has nothing to do with me. We're trying to support, especially the teachers and the professional development hours, because they get units in the spring based on having these professional development hours with Fresno Pacific and Fresno University.
Well, like
That would be in that far right box.
Are these digital this year or still paper?
Yes, they're digital, but then I want you to print it and sign it.
Right, but we can fill it out
Yes.
digitally, so that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Probably can read it.
They're Google Docs.
Okay, awesome. That's great. But yeah, make a copy.
Or you can make a copy. I'll throw them in the classroom. Right, so I would put it in the street, file and copy functions. So you're going to type on this for the month. At the end of the month, you print it and you sign it, and then you scan it and email it to Jessica. Scan it and email it to Jessica. And I will tell you that we've finally gotten out of the 1900s and we no longer have a fax machine. So you do have to scan it and email it to Jessica. Or on a night like tonight, if you want to bring it to me in that way, just do. Yes. Because I need the website. You got to scan it. Plus, I want Jessica to have them. Questions about your log? I need bullet points in the log. Guys, you don't have to tell me a story in the log. Observed teacher on 9/14. The details of that observation are going to be in the journal, right? So you just need to tell me, talked about rearranging the class, talked about attending the gigging strategies and how to implement those in the classroom, reviewed student work, right? You're going to give me bullet points. The details are in the journal. You're introducing what's going to be in the journal. This should take you about 20 minutes a month to fill out, yeah? Yeah. I'm trying to make it easy. Exit activity. This is new. So we listened to you last year during our exit activity. We sent surveys out. We listened to you at accreditation visits. Okay? And what we decided was exit interviews were too easy. Presentations were too hard, almost. So here's what we decided to do. For year ones, not ECOs or year two, but year one, they're going to do the exit interview. Light and easy, it's just a check-in almost. How you doing? Tell us about it. Tell us your story. Early completion options and year twos are going to go back to the presentation. The Google Slides, the data, the whole 9 yards.
Are you going to have the same format that you had before where they basically
Fill in the blank.
fill in the blank?
We'll
Okay,
put a
those
template
look really
together.
nice. That's
Yes.
okay.
So for year twos and ECOs, there'll be a template of Google Slides. They'll come and they'll log in with their Google account and grab those slides and make a whole presentation that will share the data of how they're growing through the lens of students.
Still in a small panel.
Yes. So we'll bring it, that's the one time I need you to come in today. We'll get everybody there at once. So their exit interview for year 1, ECOs, and year 2 are going to do the presentation. All right, so let me give you the MOU. All right, so let me really remind you once again about confidential conversations. We want your induction candidates to trust you. They're going to bring to you things that are outside of the classroom. You get to be the emotional nurse and hold the bag as they emotionally vomit. Clean it up, put it away. We need you to remind yourself that you cannot gossip about your induction candidates to other teachers. And you can't snitch on them by running to admin and saying, oh my gosh. Nor can you answer admin questions when they ask you how are they doing with EL strategies in the classroom, right? Admin needs to find out about themselves. We want and we tell your induction candidates that they can trust you with their lives. And you're going to hold that to yourself. However, we are telling your induction candidates that it's okay for you to brag about them. Oh my gosh, you got to get into Sally's room. She's doing this amazing thing. We don't think that's revealing a confidentiality. Right? Please sign a date telling me that you are in agreement with all of the expectations, and let's pass them towards me. 2 years right to the induction candidates. All right. In our standards, in our program standards, there's a commandment, if you will. It says that we are supposed to give formative feedback to our mentors. Pre-pandemic, I looked at our program and realized I have 150 mentors. And the implication was I should be sitting down and meeting with each and every one of you and giving you feedback on how you did on mentoring for the year. And logistically, I went, I don't know how to do this. So we devised a system that said, let's have the mentors set some growth goals when we have that meeting in the fall. and you looked at a rubric, and you actually wrote out your own goals similar to where an ILP, and then we revisit those in the spring. And the accreditation visit team went, I don't know if that's the right word, but it went, we need a little more something. So I am bringing to our advisory board in 2 weeks a new system that I wanted to make you aware of. What are we going to do to give you formative feedback? I'm literally still thinking I can't meet with an hour with each and every one of you and tell you how well we're doing. It's just impossible. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be giving data to the person who supervises you as a mentor. Provide that person, whoever that is in your life, this information. Did you get your collaboration logs turned in on time and were they complete? And on the collaboration logs, did you meet 1 hour a week for every week that we were in school? Hopefully we can, I've had some mentors like not do that, right? Pretend that you did. Both of you are signing off on that. We're going to let your admin team know that. Right? Attendance at our MIG meetings, right? Letting know you can't be here, you watch the video, we'll work something out. But we need to
Is that, Steve, is that feedback going to be in the Google Classroom for us?
Click the one on the right. Oh no, click the accordion and then click on the
Some today, actually, on purpose.
Is that going to be in our Google Classroom so we can look at that slide?
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put this presentation into the Google Classroom. So, we're still going to do our mentor growth goals. We'll use that. I think we're going to try to figure out a way to use that. Your teacher's progress through induction weighs a little bit on you, not completely, right? Because sometimes we get teachers that are really hard to work with, and we're like, I don't know what to do with this guy, and we won't turn anything in, and I nag and nag and nag, that I've read his journals, and I even saw the journals, but he still hasn't turned them in, I don't know what the problem. But we understand. We're going to survey, yes?
You just put your finger on something that was bothering me last year. The fact that my teacher has to sign every single one of my collaboration logs makes me not say those things in my collaboration logs. Like, oh my gosh, this guy won't do anything, or I don't think he's going to pass, or I've been telling him such and such. So I was shining sunshine out my butt because he has to sign it every single time. So is there any way that can go away? Because you're never going to say something like, I'm never going to say, I'm really nervous about this kid. I don't think he's going to pass his TPA if he's going to sign that.
I hear what you're saying. You want a way to reflect your concerns without your induction candidate. I need the induction candidate to attest that you've had those meetings, because in some cases they're not happening and I'm getting faked out. So at least if I have one person lying, then 2 people are lying. So I think I would rather have you email me personally and saying I have some concerns. What do I do about it? And I'm going to try and get out of my office and get to your campuses. So if we need to set up a meeting with the 3 of us, sit down and talk, I'm willing to do that. I'm not afraid of driving and getting out. I want out of my office, and I don't want to stay at a computer all day long. So I think that might be the better compromise. Email me directly and let's set up a meeting. And if you can't get a hold of me, get Jessica to set up an appointment and I'll come to you. Or we can at the very least set up a Zoom, right? The 3 of us. Let's see what we can do about that. Is that?
It's not going to happen to me this year, but yes. That makes sense.
Right, so I need that attestation that both of you are saying you met 4 times this month. But if your concerns, if you don't want to reflect in the log, talk to me. Text me. I'm really good at texting back. Good. We're going to survey your candidates. And we're going to put your name on. I'm kind of nervous about that because I'm worried about whether they'll give me authentic feedback or not. Because they're afraid of you. Or they love you, they don't want to hurt your feelings. I understand that. But we're trying to find authentic data on how you're doing, and that's going to come through, we think, on the surveys. Right? And we'll ask the questions. Did you meet 4 times a week? 4 times a month? Did you get help? How do you feel about? We're going to ask them very specific questions. And we still need your admin to give a thumbs up at the end of the year. Yes, this person's still my rock star, and I want them to be veteran educating teachers. And we need that criteria. If you're seeing things on here going, oh, heck no, or you think there should be another something, can you tell me? Think about that. Don't be afraid to hurt my feelings. But let's have a discussion because this is going to your supervisor. You see anything up there that concerns you?
Really quick, on the meeting 4 times a month, like a lot of, well, we're up in Boston School District, so we have a lot of extra vacation weeks in there. So when we don't do that, what I've done in the past is I've met like for 2 hours or an hour and a half.
The standard isn't 4 times a month, the standard is 1 hour a week. So if you're not in session, you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. And like in conference weeks always,
That's where we got to figure out how to adjust that. But
right, so I usually just try to add it like an hour and a half this week, and then we don't do conference week, and then maybe an hour and a half after. Okay, basically as long as I'm getting 4 hours a month.
That's correct.
Okay.
As long as it averages 1 hour a week, right? That's what we're looking for.
Right. Except for when we don't have school.
And most of you are needing more than an hour a week. You know that. Yeah. But if you're not in session, that's okay. Things also come up, and so this is where you need to just let me know you're out with a medical something, right? Or whatever's going on, or you went away for a training for a week and you got to go to sunny Las Vegas in the middle of winter, and you couldn't meet. Let me know about those things. We work with you on that. Sometimes medical will take you out for a while. Sometimes it may take you out for the whole semester. Maybe you need a pinch hitter, someone to substitute for you. What we know about the labor laws is that if you're a mentor and you're out on medical, you're out. We're not really supposed to use you during that time. Okay? So if you break a leg or if you go out on maternity or whatever is going on, you're supposed to be focused at home getting better and not at work. So we need to figure something else out. Let me know when those things come. They will come. Y'all like this? You okay with that?
Yep.
You think that'll give you the data that you're looking for? How am I doing as a mentor? Some of you are asking, how am I doing as a mentor? I want to know. So we want to try to find that for you. Can you, I don't think you have internet, maybe data, if you don't have cell phone, but would you take a picture? It's on your agenda too. Fill out my evaluation, how to do tonight, let me know. And then we'll let you get out of here. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Steve,
Yes.
one of my second years,
So he's going out.
he's going second